Let me introduce this brilliant sir here, Mr. David Alvarado. He is direct to Symmetry Financial. We're going to get to talk a little bit to him more. He's going to tell us, but you guys ready? 400,000 net placed, issue paid in a single year, 2 million plus annuities in 1 year, $8.6 million team annually. We're not talking about like I go, yeah, I've done 16 million. Like this is annually, this guy does 8.6 million. He's built a multiple agency directors, agency owners. I'm talking to you guys. You guys are talking to the cream of the crop here, Mr. David Alvarado.
Frank,
David,
thank you so
welcome.
much. It's an honor to be here.
Welcome to the call, my friend. So I wanted to start off by thanking you for your time. I know you're super busy. You got a hard stop coming up. But so what I want to do is give you as much time as possible and just let us know when you're ready. But go ahead and tell us a little bit about who this Mr. David Alvarado is, my friend.
Yeah, absolutely. I love sharing my story, guys. I'm Mexican American. My parents immigrated here from Mexico, before I was born, obviously. They got married out here. They started a business because they didn't see themselves working, and making an hourly wage. And the good thing about them starting a business is they were able to provide a pretty decent lifestyle for an immigrant that came out. They got their citizenships, their U.S. citizens, all that. They had 4 children. And I saw my parents working their butt off, beauticians. They were cutting hair. My dad was the barber. My mom was the hairstylists, and they worked their butt off for 45 years. COVID came in and shut them down, and I was able to help them retire. They're hair cutting. They're already in the retirement stages. They're still working today because they're workaholics. But I saw that. I saw hard work. I saw discipline. I saw no excuses. That we have to go out there and work. So guess what? They weren't there at my parent teacher conference. They weren't there at majority of my wrestling matches. They were there for my graduation and my walk by. They were there for my college degree graduation. But a lot of the things that most families went through, like hey, summer vacations, things like that, no, my parents were working. And I saw that. And I knew I wanted to be a business owner one day, but I went to school, right? I got a bachelor's degree in electronic engineering. So I like math. I like problem solving. I got a job after getting the degree, and he was getting paid like an equivalent of like $25, $26 an hour today.
Well, hold on,
I was
David.
back there.
David, really quick. I mean, you're breezing over that. I mean, tell them what your degree is. It's not like some, like you didn't get underwater basket weaving here. I mean, you got a real technical degree, man. I mean, people don't
Yeah, it's a
understand.
bachelor of science. Yeah, bachelor's degree in electronic science, computer engineering, and technology. It was not easy, right?
Right.
But today, that all that stuff's ancient, right? Like, AI just kind of wiped it all out. And I mean, I it was probably about $150,000 in student loan debt. Anybody
Wow.
you guys have student loan debts? Anybody still paying on student loan debt? Put a one in the chat. You're still paying on student loan debt. I'll tell you guys something that I got a job. It was tough, but guess what? I was tougher because I knew I was worth more, and I vocalized that. I want all of you guys to right now have the courage to say, I am worth more. I am worth a life worth living. I am worth being debt free. I am worth having that time and money freedom. Nobody told me this stuff. I told myself that I'm worth more. Guess what? Because I vocalized it, they're like, I don't like this guy. He wants to, he thinks he's worth more. They fired me. The moment things got slow, laid off. They were nice. They nicely fired me. They laid me off, gave me my last paycheck, and I was on my way on a Friday. And that day, I was crying on my way home because I was like 23, 24 years old. Like, what am I going to tell my mom? I'm going to go get a job. And back to monster.com back then, that's what it was. You post your resume. I just dated myself. And my buddy calls me and he says, what are you doing? This guy I didn't really like, right? He was a cool guy, but I didn't really like him too much because he's one of those guys that makes you buy him drinks all the time. And he buys none. And he calls me, and the only reason why I answered him is because I was down and out. And he's like, hey, Dave, what are you doing? I said, I'm driving home. And he's like, from where? He's like, from work. I got laid off today. And he said, that sucks. He's like, yeah. So what are you going to do? I said, I don't know. I'm going to go apply. And he said, well, how about you come check out the insurance industry? Boom. That's all he said. Come check out the insurance industry. I said, no. He overcame my objection. I said, what? I said, I don't do sales. He overcame my objection. And I said, but I don't know anything about sales. He overcame my objection. Next thing you know, I'm applying for my license, and I got my license 6 months later. It took me a little longer than I expected, but I got my license 6 months later.
So hold on, I want to paint that picture. So here you are, technical guy. You have your degree in engineering. You're a technical guy, and you're like, I can never do sales. But something that he said, by the way, thank him, right? You should probably send him a little
Yeah.
gift here and there. So you're like, man. So if he can do it, I think I can do it. And you just went out. What happened? Take us through that because you said 6 months later you got your license, but take us through what happened, man.
Came in, I came into the office, everybody's nice and suited, and they were doing mortgage protection. I had no idea about mortgage protection or what insurance is. Was nice cars in the parking lot. The agency owner had a Rolex with so much diamonds on it, you couldn't even like see it. I wanted the lifestyle. I wanted to look good. I wanted to be respect. How many of you guys, feel like, man, I see people that are successful. I want to be successful like that. That was me. It wasn't about the money. It was just about achieving higher success. Right? What is it like to have that type of confidence? Because I came from that background that my confidence was low, right? My parents were immigrated here. Everybody's racist. Like that. No, that's not true. Not everybody's racist, right? But that's what low confidence brings. And so when I got that interview and I saw it, and I told myself the moment I was interviewing, I said, listen, you don't need to interview me. I'll work my butt off. I'll be your top producer. Hire me. That's what I said. And then I told the area manager, he's like, all right, well, I'm gonna think about. He kind of played the part right a little bit, and he's like, I'm gonna think about, bringing you on. I was like, call me tomorrow. I called him the next day, and I told him, I was like, by the way, I'm gonna be in your chair 5 years from now. I told him I'm gonna be an agency owner 5 years from now. I already called it out. Right? What kind of 23-year-old, 24-year-old egotistical kid does that, right? Like 24 years old says, I'm gonna be in your shoes, Frank, in 5 years from now. I'm not gonna be an agent. I'm gonna be an agency owner.
Wow.
And the reason why it took me a long time to get my license, 6 months, is because I failed the test. Guys, if any of you guys failed the test, I can tell you that when you fail the test once, the majority of people give up and never do it again. I didn't
Yeah,
fail the
well,
test once. I didn't fail the test twice. I failed the test 4 times. And it's not because I'm a knucklehead. It's because I got a degree. I graduated with a 3.5 GPA. It wasn't a 4.0, but it's still pretty up there. But it's because if you don't use something, you lose it, right? And so my memory and note taking, I thought I could pass the test no problem. This is going to be easy. And it just took me a little longer. And guess what? That was my first taste of humble pie.
I love it. I love it. You definitely had some adversity, and that's a character that we're going to talk about. So you failed it how many times, David?
Four.
4 times. Was you think it was
Four
because of
times.
lack of preparation? You just wanted to get there quickly, and what was it?
Yep.
That's
I skimmed through the stuff. When I was running and gunning in high school and college, I would read material once and I'd memorize it on an ACE test, right? But again, I'm out of school for 4 years. I graduated in 21. I graduated my college degree when I was 21. 24 years old. 3 years later, you start losing how to do things, right? And so that was the reason why. But when I buckled down, I was like, I'm not failing this test again. I went back to my old cabinet. I got all of my old college study notes. I would highlight, I'd make flyers. Listen, guys, when you want something so bad, you're going to do something you've never done before. I'm going to tell you that right now. You want to be on the top of those leaderboards? You're going to stop making excuses. You're going to stop being you're not going to be okay with failure anymore. You're not going to be okay with being last. You're not going to be okay with not being recognized for your hard work. The only difference why you're not getting recognized for your hard work today is because it requires a little extra. The difference between ordinary and extraordinary is that little extra that you have. You can give. You just don't think you need to right now. But I'm going to tell you guys what, there's no time to waste. You don't have more time. You need to give that extra today for your clients, for your family, for your future income. And that's what was the difference. I gave it a little extra. I went back. I got my old notes, studied them. I was like, this is how I memorize things. Boom,
good.
pass the test, no problem.
That's good, man. That's good. And so, David, I've known you, I think we're going on 4 years or 5 years now. And just to let you guys know, I was fortunate enough to be part of this 5 city tour with Cody Askins. And one thing I realized really quick about David was his tenacity and discipline. David was so disciplined about his physique and his body and just the focus. So what I wanted to ask you, David, because you did mention the discipline that it takes and how it translates into business, how important
Yeah.
is that? And then how did you master that? Because just like you passed the test of your first adversity, you look at the David of today, which is just a sharper sword. But how did you get to that point where you're like, man, I'm working out every day, super disciplined at that? And how does that translate into what you do now?
Yeah, for me, physical activity is like an outlet for me. It's an opportunity for me to get all the stress out. It's therapy, it's mental therapy, it's physical. If you can do something physically hard, you can do something mentally hard. If you can do, how many of us right now are stuck? Like, man, I cannot break through. Right? And I want you guys to write this down and keep it in front of you at all times. Discipline is freedom. Freedom is not discipline, but discipline is freedom. Like how do you break through and say, I want to have a successful career here at Symmetry? You find discipline. How do you find discipline? You make a commitment. Today, I'm committed to finding the success that will get me the financial freedom and the time freedom that I've always wanted. That commitment will now create a schedule, and that schedule will create a discipline. I am not going to go one day without working out. Why? Because if I can physically get up out of bed and go to the gym and do something hard physically, I can do something hard mentally.
That's awesome.
Right? Sometimes mental weight feels so heavy. Can anybody agree with that? That mental weight feels heavy. Mental stress feels so heavy. But guess what, guys? When you go to the gym, you go work out, you go do some runs, and you can lift something that you felt like, man, I didn't know I could do that. This mental weight feels so light. I can give you guys a quick little story. In 23, I was going through some really tough, challenging mental stress, anxiety, depression. I mean, call it whatever you want, right? It's just mental weight. And I didn't know what to do. It was crushing me on the inside. And I did something I've never done before. I picked up swimming. Anybody in the room swimmers? Put a one in the chat if you're a swimmer. If you go to the pool or you used to swim, not very many people do. I've never swum in my life. And I picked it up because it was the hardest thing I can do physically. I've never done it. Like, there's never been something that I can't do physically, but it was the hardest thing I do. I can tell you guys, 3 years later, now the most I've ever swum in a pool is 2 miles, 132 laps. It took me an hour and 15 minutes. Today, I can swim a mile in under 30 minutes. Today, I can do so much in the pool, and I thank the pool because it was the discipline to get in there and do it. It was my outlet. It was my mental stability, because if I can damper all of my thoughts into the pool, I can control my thoughts out of the pool, right? What do I say damper? I can shut the noise down. How many of us feel like the noise is loud in here?
It's good.
But I can shut it down under physical, so that way I can focus when I'm out of the pool and I'm in my business.
You talk about shutting things down through your daily disciplines. And I mean, you've been here. You haven't been with Symmetry for 16 years, but you've been in the industry for 16 long years, brother. You've seen the high highs, the low lows, and the one that lasts. So the ones who last in the business, and I'm reading this because I wrote it down to ask you, what do they understand? Like, I know that because you work out, you have a sense of delayed gratification, that if you put in the reps, eventually the numbers owe you, per se, in fitness, whatever, right? And so when that fades away, what remains constant for you?
So, it's always important to get some type of verbal affirmation, right? You can do it. How many of us have heard, like Eric Thomas, you can do it. You can get up. You're strong. You're willing. If you read the Bible, do not fear. You are capable. You are the child of the Most High God. If you believe that stuff, now all of a sudden it creates some type of inspiration within you. Now it's time to act. Now it's time to go. And if you do not take that inspiration, that verbal inspiration, and then start taking action to it, and then all of a sudden you start moving, you start acting, and all of a sudden, hey, I'm by myself. This is just me, right? That motivation is gone. Now it's all about, am I going to finish what I said I was going to start? And I can tell you guys, I was talking to my wife about this the other day. I said, every single thing that I've ever done that I start, the first thing that comes to mind is, David, you don't have to finish this. It's just, I don't know why. Like, something comes at me saying, you don't have to, you have 10 appointments today. You can stop at 5. You don't have to submit 10,000 this week. You can stop at 3. You don't have to finish. For some odd reason, it's this feeling of not completing my goal comes about me. And the moment I start getting close to those 5 appointments, I said, no, David, you're going to push back, push over to 10. You're going to keep going till you submit 10,000. You're going to keep going until you recruit 5 guys this week. You're going to keep going until you promote yourself, promote your business. You're not going to short yourself anymore, ever again. Because a commitment doesn't let you stop. Discipline doesn't let you stop when you're feeling weak and you're negotiating with your goals. I'm going to tell you guys right now that negotiating with goals is like pouring water to your fire. Like, you can't negotiate, right? Because we're the best negotiators with ourselves. You don't got to get on this call. You don't got to buy leads today. You don't invest in yourself, but your commitment and your dedication, when you do one thing and you complete it and you're saying, no, I don't want to be remembered this way. I don't want my family to remember me as somebody who could start something and not finish it. I don't want my family to remember me and say, hey, I can say something and do something different. And I'm going to tell you guys why I'm like this. Right? I'm going to get a little emotional, maybe. Hopefully I don't. But my dad, God bless him, he's an amazing guy. But it was 4 of us, 4 boys. And guess what? We were knuckleheads. He would have promised a lot and underdeliver a lot. Because he wanted us to do things, right? Like, hey, clean your room. I'm going to take you guys to the arcade. Clean your room. I'm going to take you guys to the mall. Guess what? We clean our room and he's like, oh, it's too late to go to the mall. I'm not going to take it. And so then it was always a lot of letdowns. He would tell us to do something and he wouldn't come through. And I remember one day I told him, I was like, Dad, when I become a father and I tell my kids that if they do something, I'm going to do it for them. I'm going to do it. I'm not going to be like you. That commitment translated from not only in my business, in my physique, but also in my family. Because now when I tell my 2 little boys, hey, if you do this, I'm going to give you this, boom, it's there. And there's no doubt about it. It's commitments like that don't let me stop. When I say I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it.
Yeah, that's so good, especially as a father. But one thing I was thinking about, David, do you remember when we were having a conversation and you said that an agent that had a lot of potential came to you and was like, hey man, mentor me. And you said something, it kind of stopped me in my track. You told me that you told him, just be careful what you ask me. I remember you saying that. It was so clear, bro. We were at the gym. You're like, just be careful what you ask me. All right. Let's say the guy's name is Joe. Joe, are you sure you want me to mentor you? Just be careful what you ask me. And then do you remember you gave me an explanation of what that meant? Can you kind of lean in on that, man? Because that was such a powerful moment that we exchanged that I realized like, man, this guy's a peak performer. And if you're asking, then that agent needs to step up to where you're at.
Yeah.
So go ahead and kind of talk to us about that a little bit, man, like about that specific example.
Yeah, and it was a strong conversation, guys, because listen, this is the truth, guys. The best coaches in anything, whether it's sports or business, they're not nice. They're not apologetic. They're not going to shortcut. They're not going to steer you wrong. It is not going to be an easy walk in the park to get coached by the best. You know what happens when you get coached by the best? You're going to not like what you hear. You're going to not like the training you're about to go through, the commitments you're about to embark, the work ethic that's about to get in front of you. You're not going to like the way that they're going to talk to you. There's not going to be any emotions involved. There's no going to be no feel good. It's not going to feel good. It's actually going to be the exact opposite. It's going to feel really tough, but it's going to change you and mold you to become the best version of yourself. How many of us in this room right now are willing to go through a furnace? And I'm talking about like you're going to be molded. The Bible says that gold needs to be beaten, burned, and refined until all of the impurities get wiped out of it. And then you can see yourself in it. How many of us are willing to do that? Put a 1 in the chat. I'm willing to sacrifice my comfort for success. Short-term comfort for long-term success. There's 45 people in this room, and I guarantee you there's not going to be 45 ones on there. If there is, you guys are a special group of people. You know why? Because it hurts to grow. It hurts to be beaten and forged and molded to become a top producer, a top builder, an agency owner that's willing to be tested through time. Because it's not all puppy dogs and rainbows at the top. It is tough. Leaders sometimes have to be by themselves to figure out what is the next step to be able to redefine themselves. Because guess what? Leadership, it's always about making sure I can redefine myself. But what I can tell you is when you are willing to make that commitment, and I got a bunch of ones in this room, I'm willing to make the commitment. It is a short-term sacrifice for a long-term gain. Your lifestyle is going to grow. The way you think is going to grow. You're going to stand up on stages. Your income is going to blow up. Your team is going to blow up. You're going to now realize like, man, this is what it's like to level up my life. And this is the thing, guys. If you level up your life here, your entire life is going to level up. Family, your future, your retirement, your cars, your friends. I mean, it does not stop with a decision. And to become successful in the insurance industry, your entire circle will change.
That's good, man. That's so good,
Get
David.
excited to leave behind the things that you think are valuable for better things that are more valuable in the future.
So good. David, we have a lot of new agents here on the team, and I would just like you're saying, what would you have them focus on immediately in, let's say, 30, 60, and 90 days? And then what should they ignore? And then what behaviors, like you've been talking about, create that momentum? I know that you've been onboarding a ton of people. I mean, you are like, it's always David, number one, like always back and forth with you and Reineke, and like it's back and forth. But I mean, talk about that, man. You have new people on here. What
All
advice
right, guys. I love it. New agents, you guys are the future. I want you to know that you're special. You're needed. You are appreciated. You guys are embarking something brand new, right? That you're no longer an employee of a company. You're an employee of your business. This is your business. So now you have control of your schedule together, your future, your efficiency. For all of you guys, new agents right now, get ready to embark in one of the toughest journeys, but that are so valuable, right? Why is it tough? Because you're learning how to sell virtually. Why is it tough? Because you got to invest in yourself and in your business. Why is it tough? Because you can't just splurge on time and money. You have to be disciplined with your time and your money. One of the biggest problems that people come into this industry is to say, I got all my time in the world. I can just work whenever I want. You know what the problem is with working whenever you want is that you never work. This is a full-time commitment. This is not 30 hours, 39 hours. I'm just going to clock in 39. No, this is 40 plus hours, right? When you see top producers like Stefan and Bo, I'm not working 40 hours. I'm working however long it takes. I want you to change your mindset from I'm only working Monday through Friday to I'm working whenever I have an opportunity. We are unemployed every day until you make a sale. Okay, that means I got to help more families. I got to talk to more people. I got to buy more opportunity. I got to promote myself more. I want you guys to write that down. I need to promote my business, my passions, and what I do for clients every single day on social media. Because if nobody knows what you do, nobody knows that you can help them. Keep it simple. Memorize your scripts. Be a process-driven person, right? What I mean by a process-driven person, hey, as soon as I wake up, I clock in at 8 o'clock in the morning. I clock in at 8 o'clock. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to work from 8 to 12:30 effectively and efficiently. I know exactly what I need to do in my calendar. I'm going to give you guys what my schedule is right now. I get up at 8. I start going through my calendar. I start seeing how many appointments I got. How many appointments do I need? Because my goal every single week is to set 15 appointments, to do 15 interviews, to onboard 5 people, to have 3 new writers. That's my goal every single week. Who do I need to talk to? Who could I help? But as a new agent, it's very simple, guys. I'm either doing one of the 3 things. You're either dialing to book up your week, you're in front of clients because I'm selling insurance, or I'm learning my system. I'm learning my scripts. I'm learning my processes. I made 5 no sales. I'm going to get with my upline to say, hey, where could I improve here? Every day there's an opportunity to improve your skills. Every day there's an opportunity for you to improve your sales, your no sales, your phones. I want you guys to commit every day. I'm going to 1 hour to improving my phone skills and my presentation skills, reviewing all my no sales and all the people that no showed me. I'm so grateful that I became a top producer because guess what, guys? I don't depend on nobody to provide my income besides me. Yes, I have a great team. Yes, I have a great passive income, but I love that if I want to give myself a bonus, I'm going to go out there and write business. If I want to give myself a raise, I'm going to go out there and write business.
So good.
Nobody's going to hold me down, and no. Listen, we're all here 1099. If Frank doesn't want to work today, then Frank doesn't want to work today. But if I want to make more money, I have the opportunity to go out there and make more money. I just got to buy 20 leads. I got to dial for I already know the system. I got to dial 500 dials. I got to buy 20 leads. I got to buy 500 bonus leads. And I'm going to work my butt off to submit 10K because I have a bar that I have to hit every single week, right? in my discipline. I am not afraid of how much work it takes to become successful.
Wow, that's good. That's good, David. Man, guys, go ahead and show your love by, I don't know, fire emoji or something, just like Kanyan just did to David. He's really, really just pouring into us. The other thing, David, that we don't realize, what you just said, is super simple. You've been in the business so long that yes, you still do those things, but you also can go in your bag of clients and go, huh, who needs an annual policy review? Who needs this? So,
Oh
guys,
yeah,
it just, right? It just keeps getting, it's not that it gets easier, you just have more access to things as you're in the business longer. So, David, man, I'm so fired up to have you, man. Everybody show your love for Mr. David Alvarado. And David, we got 5 minutes left. I know that you had a hard stop at 10:30 exactly, right?
yeah.
Exactly. So we're on the nose, but everybody show your love. And David, thank you so much for coming out, man. I owe you. I owe you, brother. So God bless you, man, and
No,
your family and your beautiful,
thank you.
beautiful children and your family, man. God bless you guys. Mr. Alvarado.
Thanks, David.
Appreciate you guys. Thank you.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it.